With the massive shock to the race, in 2024, we have the biggest and most accurate poll to date. Really, less than 50 days from the election, we've got somebody in Atlas Polling Institute that was the closest to the mark in 2020 as compared to like the top 15 pollsters. And so they have Donald Trump up actually by almost 3 percentage points over Kamala Harris. His lead is 50.9 over the 48 purported flat rate for Harris. Now, this is awful news for the Democrats, as obviously the most accurate pollster carries a lot more water and weight than does the other 14 that may be ABC News. And you see how biased they are when it comes to interviews, debates, polls. Okay, these Fox News polls are garbage, but when it comes down to the good ones, Rasmussen is an honorable mention, Trafalgar polling, but also Atlas Intel is literally, technically, in the nerdiest way possible, I need to say it, was the most accurate pollster 4 years ago. The reason why I say this is because while they were off by like 2% last time, you know, the average pollster was off by like 5 or 6. The average pollster had Biden beating Trump by 8 points. Turns out it was like half of that. And so when you have somebody like Atlas Polling having Donald Trump losing to Biden by like, let's say 2.2, in the popular vote, that seems pretty accurate, as that's what he lost to Hillary by in the popular vote. Hence, he still won the election. And so when you disagree and you agree with Trump that the election last time was not the fairest in all mankind, then you can see how Atlas was probably more right than even the official result indicates. And so Atlas Polling really needs to get some sort of credibility. Now, this is also important too, because over the span of Kamala becoming the nominee, you'll notice that, you know, that was like, what, July? Well, basically the lead for Donald Trump started at 2.1. Now it's up to 2.9. And so this is after both RNC, DNCs, the bump you were supposed to get at the convention if you're Kamala, also picking a vice presidential nominee in Tim Walz. That doesn't seem to have panned out so well. Speaking of Tim Walz, here we have his beautiful wife, and by beautiful, I mean like if you would like to see a Vanity Fair cover of Hillary Clinton, you've got the doppelganger right here, okay? So Tim Walz's wife is going full psycho. Cycle because she's going psycho, sorry. Yeah, it's a one-stage cycle, you know. Psycho, psycho, psycho. Anyway, 5.3 million views on TikTok, 235,000 likes, and 50,000 comments. So let's look at what she's saying. All right, 60-year-old white woman, what do you have to say?
Hi, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. 52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump. Bye-bye, Donald Trump.
You know, people say, you know, Tim Walz, is he in the closet? Look, frankly, how the hell are you not if that's your beard? Like, dude, what the hell? How are you attracted to that? That's awful. That's all. You know, and people are like, oh, in politics, you can't talk about somebody's wife. She's on the stage. You want me to be like, oh, yeah, that was great. Oh, yeah, I'm going to pretend. No, she sucks. What is she on? You know, like when you're drunk, you can be funny, you can be loose. This is neither. She's like on some sort of pills and probably some drink. Okay, that's awful. Wow, I feel bad for Tim. Psych, he can suffer, man. Holy shiz. Anyway, so sorry if I scared any of you guys with that clip. Jesus, I had to show somebody, okay? I need a trauma bond with the chat. But anyhow, comment down below if you were scared. Moving on to what the bare bones of the polls were, and by that I mean like the crosstabs, but also in a more esoteric sense. How do you get a number like Trump winning by 3 at Atlas? And so really the rationale goes down to this. Let's look at to the right first. Let's read it like a manga in Japan. You'll notice that they have Kamala winning the debate poll. You know, who won the debate? Well, they have 47.6% for Kamala Harris. They've got 13.3% saying neither. And then Donald Trump at 39.1%. This is important, frankly. Why? Because if you assume that, you know, 40% of the people watching were Kamala people, 40% were Trump, and, you know, then the other remaining portion was undecided people and people on the fence, then you could see how, you know, they'd both get in the 40s. Trump, you know, virtually every Republican thought he won. Kamala, all the Democrats thought she won, and then the people in the middle are the ones that matter. But also what underlies the entire number, by the way, even though Trump is losing, according to that result, which I can believe, frankly, is that bottom line is that it goes down to the undecideds, and those weren't really pressed in that interview. But beside that survey aspect, most people, like in the CNN push poll and the shock polls, right after the debate, like within hours, when they do their little bogus, like, oh, we're going to interview people from Pennsylvania, and they all just so happen to be Democrat. Look, if you look at those, they had Kamala beating Trump like 27 points, you know, like, oh, you know, 63 to 38 or something like this. Well, bottom line is that, frankly, that is in huge disagreement with this Atlas poll. Think about it. 28% loss deficit, whereas here it's like a -8 for Donald Trump, and that's not even including the neithers that are probably still going to vote Trump. Why do I say they're going to still vote Trump? this beautiful chart right here. And, Donald Trump is a big fan of charts ever since Butler, Pennsylvania, but this one's also a brilliant infographic. Look at this. So these dials have been famous for maybe 20 years. Frank Luntz might have come up with that concept. Screw him. But anyway, the point being is that the red line is the Republican viewers, the yellow line is the independent viewers, and the blue line is the Democrat viewers. When Trump is talking, you'll see that the yellow and the red are pretty close. Well, what that basically means is that the Republicans and Donald Trump, as the hegemon of the Republican Party and the flagship nominee for this race, you'll notice that he in general is in concordance with what generally you would prescribe are independents in America. And so what that means for you guys is that independents generally just agree with what he's saying, even if they're lagging behind slightly over Republicans. That's still pretty impressive that there's like a 95% correlate between the Republican response and the independent response. In fact, that's like pretty unusual. The reason being is because obviously he's winning on the issues so concretely that despite not having a Republican backbone or any sort of like intuition that makes him very conservative, these independent voters that are watching the ABC News debate are frankly agreeing with Trump all the time because he's actually such a reasonable candidate nowadays as compared to what the Democrats are putting up. And so when it comes down to like gas prices or the electric company bills, Arizona, my state, leads the country in increase in electricity costs. Anyway, enough humble bragging. Kidding. The independents all around the debate agreed with Trump. Now, the way he explained it himself, and he didn't do himself too many favors when it came to like being eloquent or articulate about how he was going to do X and Y, and people in middle America could have been like, okay, well, I'm just jumping complete ship to Trump. A lot of that 13% neither vote in the Atlas poll over the debate shows, frankly, that the independents, despite not really liking his performance, still err on the side of Trump because not only does he tell them what they want to hear, vaguely speaking, when it comes to policies they want, like lowering prices and housing and all this, but also because he has 4 years of showing that the economy was better under him, and so that therefore they ought to trust Trump over Kamala Harris. Okay? And the Democrats can see all they want with this downward sloping blue. It doesn't matter. But anyway, to further address this though, when it comes down to the greatest challenges facing the U.S., this is very interesting to me. All right, so you've got number one, inflation is the biggest issue, cost of living. 55% of people agree with that. Also similar number agree that the U.S. economy and the job market, which overlaps significantly with the prior one. Immigration is also at over majority support, 50%. Abortion at a low number 4 at 27% importance of number 1. 25% with safeguarding of democracy, that's 25%, and healthcare at 12.5. A couple reasons why this is a huge deal. First and foremost, inflation. Trump is beating her on inflation in terms of combat polls. 1-to-1 is what I mean. On the economy and the job market, Trump is beating her on that by double digits. Immigration, the strongest issue for Donald Trump, because granted, there is, a 10 to 15% gap between the economic views of Donald Trump and Democrats. That's namely because obviously a lot of people that would otherwise agree that the economy sucks still believe in like this Democrat bullshit of like, oh, increase taxes on the rich, spend more money we don't have, and then we will magically save the economy. There's too many people for Trump to be winning on that issue by 30%. But God, trust me that, obviously a strong majority of people do agree the economy is in a bad place right now. Anyway, immigration, like I said, strongest issue. Why? Because Donald Trump, I think it's not like it's a nonpartisan issue, immigration is, but it's so concretely obvious that the Democrats are losing on this that it's like, at that point, a lot of liberals are like, okay, yeah, Trump is better on this. Kamala's like, I'm going to build part of the wall. What the fuck? What was the last 8 years of like, oh, it's racist, it's xenophobic. Where the fuck were you then? What? Are you kidding me? So anyway, yeah, even Democrats are saying like, okay, well, what is it? What is it? And mind you, immigration being at 50 is super high. In 2016, immigration was a significant issue, but honestly, frankly, it wasn't. It was like a gaslight. 2016 immigration was so petty compared to what it is now. It's like, what the fuck were you even complaining about, Trump? But because of the slippery slope, he was vindicated, frankly. Moving on. Number four. Okay, so like I said, over 50% support of naming inflation, the economy, and immigration, Trump's issues, as the number ones. Hence why he's probably going to win. But maybe I'm too bullish on the guy I have the flag of in my room. But fourth is reproductive rights. So this is clearly a Democrat kind of like, I'm going to bake my vote here. So 27% of people say that their biggest thing is going to be Roe v. Wade. I don't know what to say to these people, but that is what it is. But like I said, that's a winning issue for Kamala. But again, it's the number 4 issue. So how the hell are you going to get to number 1? It's like saying, a girl likes a guy because he's like tall, handsome, charismatic, smart. And then you're like, well, but I'm good at playing the flute. It's like, well, dude, you have no shot. Okay. Oh, but abortion. It's like, well, bro, you got like 27% support on that. Great job. Safeguarding democracy. That's another BS one. Do you really think 1/4 of Americans are saying safeguarding democracy, whatever the hell that means, is gonna what? What difference does it make? You know, like what is Kamala gonna make like the democracy battalion over the Capitol? That would actually be a good gimmick. Like, hey guys, we're literally installing a battalion right here. We have like a bunch of porta potties and everything. That's the best they could do. What, safeguarding democracy? How? Because it's not Donald Trump. Yeah, maybe they're right. Like an 83-year-old Donald Trump will like forced to leave the White House. Will not be forced. Okay, he'll just sit there. He'll just what? Really? JD Vance, any other Republican that could run against me? Nah, fuck that. 83 years old. I'm going for a third term. If he does, I'd be like, okay, maybe you're right, Kamala. But I think this 25% is just them trying to bank their vote. These Democrats, again, because vaguely half the country is another side. I get it. So they're trying to bank their vote on something, whether that be abortion, which they are exaggerating how much they care about, I think, or democracy, which again, nobody freaking cares about insofar as like safeguarding, all this pantomiming about it. It's so empty, in my opinion. Healthcare, 12.5%. Now, granted, healthcare was a huge issue 2008, 2012, even 04, 2000. It was a bigger issue than it is now, which lends itself to the fact that the healthcare is kind of a secondary issue. After Obamacare has been around for a while, I think people just have gone complacent with it, which is good for Republicans because Donald Trump, which is another criticism I vocalized a week ago, was that dude did not have, well, sorry, not to piss any Trump fans, which I'm one of. He had a concept of a plan. Okay, fine. But that was a horrible answer. Like, come on. Like, even MAGA people in chat, like, are you serious? I have a concept of a plan. It's pretty great. It's better than, if I get a better plan than Obamacare for no reason, I will sign it. Like, dude, what the fuck? Why? Why would there be a cheaper, better version of Obamacare at your desk? How the fuck, like, what's the catch? What's the catch? You don't think the Democrats would have done that already? Love Donald, but what the fuck was that, man? Do your homework next time. Anyway, so, I mean, all these and more are reasons why Donald Trump won the polls by 3% in Atlas, which is the whole point of the video. I hope I explained it to you. So, in summation, with the election, according to the $1 billion put into polling market being pretty much a dead heat, we all know that, Atlas might be the outlier, but the outlier is totally a place you want to be at in this election, as Atlas is the most accurate person. And by person, I'm trying to characterize or whatever, a polling institute, but generally speaking, that Atlas Institute is one of the best. Like I said, Trafalgar, Rasmussen, right up there too, in terms of accuracy historically. And so that's why I'm saying, and I'm staking up that, yeah, Trump seems to be up in the popular vote, which is awesome, which means he will definitely win the election. And you could say, oh my God, what if he loses? I will delete my channel. I'm kidding, but I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But anyways, subscribe if you haven't yet and like the video if you haven't yet also. See y'all in the next one. Adios.